Okay, so there's also some things that you should know when you go into the settings of a Zoom that might make it a little bit easier when you set up your meetings and that kind of thing. So there's a lot in here. Um, if you want it to always be that there's a waiting room set up, you can enable of that here. And then you can, make it so that they always have to go to a waiting room. You can also do some options like everybody's going to go to the waiting room. You could also say, you can customize it so you could put a picture or give your topic or something like that. That just lets them know, just hold on a second. Otherwise, it'll just say you're in the waiting room and it's no big deal. Passcodes I wouldn't really enable, especially for primary kids. I think that gets really confusing. But one of the nice things down here is that you can go to here. It will always mute participants upon entry. So I showed you how to do that when you set up an individual meeting, but if you do it within your settings and every time you schedule a meeting, it will automatically mute people. And you can teach kids that if they hit the space bar, it will unmute them and they can talk. So then that way you don't have to say unmute. The space bar mutes and unmutes. And then once you're in the meeting, there are some chat features. You can turn the chat off altogether, though I think the chat can be very helpful, especially for older students. Although practicing the chat with even younger kids might be something that you want to do. But let's say you want nobody to be able to chat, you just turn that off here. If you don't want kids to be able to send one-to-one messages like a private chat, you turn that off here. Once you're in the Zoom, you're going to be able to decide, do you only want participants to be able to chat to you, or do you want the chat to show up to everybody? And so you can make that adjustment. The other thing that I think is really helpful is that if you want the control bar to always show up for you so you don't have to go searching for it, you can enable that here. And then there are some options about breakout rooms down here. Okay, so down in the advanced settings, you can make breakout rooms. So I want the host to be able to make breakout rooms. And not only do I want to be able to make breakout rooms, but I want to be able to make the breakout rooms when I schedule. So this little option shows up. Allow the host participants to assign participants to breakout rooms. So that means that when I'm in my Zoom and I'm setting up my meeting, so now I'm going to go back to scheduling a meeting. And I schedule my meeting for, let's say, today. And it's at noon and it's this, right? Then down here, I can do breakout room pre-assign, and I can create rooms right here. If I already have rooms created somewhere, I can import them. But let's say I want to create a room for each kid to be in their own room at some point. And maybe there's a point in which I put each child in an individual breakout room, and then I go in and I confer with each kid. Or maybe there are breakout rooms where it's 3 or 4 kids at a time, then I can pre-make those rooms and add those. So those are some really helpful features that you can set up so that it's true every time you make a Zoom meet.